News Talk 640, WFNC. Brandon Price is on the screen right here, and Brandon just happens to be the executive director of the Fayetteville Habitat for Humanity. I don't know why I get you and Johnny confused in terms of what y'all do, because you used to work over there too, didn't you?
Yeah. There's no confusion. See, that's the big brother.
Yeah, and you know, and you guys kind of work hand in hand.
Yeah. I spent almost a decade over there at Urban Ministry. That's where I got my professional start under his tutelage.
Well, you know, and I'm confused to the extent that I said, you got a golf tournament coming up. He said, no, I don't. That's not mine. That's Johnny's.
That's
Johnny Wilson's, and the Urban Ministry has the golf tournament.
No, we're going to play in it.
Yeah,
Habitat, we're going to put a team together and go support that effort because they do really good work over there.
WFNC, our Crackerjack team is going to be in there. We're going to wear you out.
Yeah, we'll see. I got my son playing it.
Oh, we'll see, now you're bringing the ringers in. You know, hey, Kenny, I said, hey, can we get your son to play on the golf tournament? And he said, we'll see. I didn't know. He said you weren't going to let him leave the fold.
Yeah. No, I can't do that.
All right. Well, look, you're here. You got some events coming up yourself.
Yeah.
And one is the youth camp. Is that explain that for me?
So a couple of years ago, this will be our third year, actually, doing the construction camp. And that is something that's a week-long program where we teach youth ages 16 to 19 how to do routine household repairs around the home. And so one day is dedicated to carpentry, which is, framing. The next day is donated to plumbing, learning how to replace a toilet from the hole in the floor from the wax ring. Learning how to put down a wax ring and then putting the toilet together. They're learning how to replace the plumbing underneath the kitchen and bathroom sinks. And then on the electrical day, the next day, they learn how to change out an electrical receptacle and changing out a light switch, repairing or replacing a ceiling fan, because everybody's got a ceiling fan in their house that needs repaired. And learning how to change out doorknobs. And then also, and then learning how to replace a hole in the wall, how to repair a hole in the wall and hang drywall.
In drywall, yeah. You know, and all these things that let me break it up. I don't know why Bill Young's name is under you. All these things that you are talking about can save money, not only in just the repair itself, but the labor costs. And I think that's what people forget. I had a friend who had a lock change, and the locksmith came to the house, changed the locks in about 5 minutes, gave him the key, and said $95.
Yeah, it don't take long.
But the issue really wasn't the changing a lock. The fact was the matter that he called one who was in Sampson County.
Yeah.
And so by the time the locksmith got there, that travel expense was all, was added into what it is that you have to do. So if you can do those, they're minor repairs, but they pop up at everybody's house all the time.
Well, I was just telling somebody this yesterday. It doesn't matter how great you are at your house, how great you treat your home, how old it is. If you live in it long enough, you're going to have to do some kind of maintenance to it to make sure that it continues to stay well. Like, houses are not built to last forever, even though we stay in them forever. So,
well, but people complain that something's broke. I can't believe this is broken.
Yeah.
Everything is going to break at some point.
At some point, yeah. Well, and then there's things that you can just do that if you just know how to do a few things that would extend the life of certain things. If you have small children in your home, and I wouldn't say small children, I just say people in your home that like to play around, like they're subject to knock a hole in the wall just on accident, it don't take much.
We've all been there. Now, the neat thing about some of this stuff is the fact that, thank God for the internet, because you can Google and see different people show you how to make some of the repairs.
Absolutely.
But there's nothing like going to your camp and getting your hands on the tools.
Absolutely.
That's totally different. And I was telling Ken, a lot of people don't know how to work a hammer. Which hand
which is
use?
Very basic. You would think that. But what we discovered during this camp is that students, the first time they ever picked up a hammer was at our camp. Some of them, many of them, most of them, I would even say. And believe it or not, in Cumberland County, there's 2 high schools out of the 16 in Cumberland County that have a shop class where students are actually learning how to, build something using wood. And that's not no shot at Cumberland County schools. There's just the focus has shifted as technology has changed.
Not only that, the money is not there.
Yeah.
Well, let me give you an example. When I was growing up back in the olden days, girls took cooking
Yeah.
and typing.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, with a real typewriter.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have computers back then.
Yeah.
And then somewhere along the line, someone in education had the desire to switch that around. So the girls took wood shop and metal shop, and the boys took cooking and typing.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I learned how to touch type because of that, and I
Yeah.
didn't know they were setting me up for a career as a reporter.
Journalist. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I was at Channel. I explained a story to someone else, and assistant news director. I'm applying for a job at Channel 5. They hand me a copy from the Associated Press, and he said, "Here, turn this into a TV story." So I took it and I started typing, and I was looking like this, and I wasn't. He said, "You can type without looking?" I said, "Yeah, can't you?" And so he couldn't. But that is a pretty neat
It's
skill.
an invaluable skill. It really
And now
is.
people, on the phone, I've seen some of these kids like this.
Yeah.
I can't do that. With thumbs, I mean, so it is, you adjust to the time that you need, and there's not really a need for a keyboard to the extent. Because right now you can just say, "Hey, Siri," and type out so-and-so, and the next thing you know, you got to watch that. So I told Siri one time to remind me to get 4 shirts. And it left out a letter. It just said get 4 or something else of a cuss word. So watch what you text and send people as well.
Yeah.
Now look, who can be involved with this? This is not just for boys.
No.
Talk about and when you say students, what is it?
So the students, we cover Cumberland, Sampson, and Bladen counties. And so we take students from all 3 of those different counties. In fact, right now, yesterday we started our interviews because students have to interview. It's not the kind of camp where your mom and dad can just sign you up for it. This is reserved for students who really want the experience. And actually, one of the students, shout out to this student, is the first young lady that we actually interviewed yesterday. But she said, "Well, why did y'all decide to do this?" That was her question. Like when at the end of the interview, we said, "Okay, do you have any questions that you'd like to ask us?" And she was just like, hey, she was like, "I was just curious, why did you guys decide to do this?" And I was just like, "Man, that's such a great question." And I said, "All right, cool." So I was excited for that part. But the reason is we touched 2 pieces. One, we deal with affordable housing. Habitat for Humanity internationally deal with affordable housing. And one of the ways you can keep your home affordable is if I can keep you in your home for an extended period of time. And the way that I can do that is to teach you how to take care of your home. And when maintenance issues pop up, I can show you how to do those things without you having to call Mr. Repairman. Because every time, even to include me, when I called the repair guy last summer, the air in my upstairs wasn't working. I couldn't figure it out. I was like, "Man, oh my goodness, what's going on?" Change the filter, do all these other things. Finally, I called a repair guy. He walks over to my electric box. I'm almost embarrassed to tell you this. And he just flips the circuit. And he said, "Okay, that'll be $125, Mr. Price." He was there for 20 minutes. Here, $125, Mr. Price. I said, "For what?" It was like, that's how much it costs for them to come.
Well, you may be embarrassed by that, but the point is, some of the stuff that you're teaching these students will let them know that I've reached the limit of my expertise.
Absolutely.
Now I need to call. And I do that as well. I'm pretty good with carpentry and electrical stuff, but I know when I need to call Jerry, my electrician. I know.
I was about to say, now wait a minute, you wired your television. I remember seeing this.
Sure.
Where you put it up on your wall and had the wires running behind the wall.
Absolutely.
Like, you're very skilled, you're very talented.
But the thing about that, my dad repaired radios and television, so I grew up around that type stuff, so I'm not afraid of electricity.
Yeah.
But again, you got to know when you reach your limits. I don't mess around with the panel board. I mean, if I can put replace a circuit breaker or something like that, but if I got to run 100 amps back to the swimming pool to do a heater, Jerry, I need you. Come on.
Yeah.
And everybody should have a good electrician, a good auto mechanic, a good doctor. Yeah. Everybody in place that you can trust, and that's the key. That if you have a sense of how a repair should be made, then if somebody's shooting your line and saying,
100%.
Hey, well, you look like we're gonna have to change the transmission.
Yeah.
And look, you talk about embarrassing moments. I used Bob Meyer up on Yakin Road. He's my go-to mechanic guy. Okay. And of course, I trust my people at the Rick Hendrick, the Jeep place as well. I've got a Jeep that has 265,000 miles on it. Okay. And I put every mile on it, and it's still running fine from 2012.
Yeah.
And so it's a matter of maintenance, take it in.
Sure.
But I had a check engine light come on. Okay. I took it over to Bob, and I said, "Man, got the check engine light on." And, I've got the little thing that you can order, and you can do it, check yourself to see what the thing is.
Yeah.
I couldn't figure out what the problem was. I took it in, and he said, "Gilbert, that's not the check engine light. you need air in your tires. I just wasn't looking at it right, and I felt embarrassed. So, but the course, when does it actually take place?
So June the 22nd through the 26th. I'm really excited because this year we're partnering with the Salvation Army. We're hosting it at the Salvation Army gym, and so we'll be taking over the Salvation Army spot with our camp for about 2 weeks. But we're really excited about that. And actually, one of the things I do want to talk about is we feed, the students breakfast, snacks in the middle of the day, and lunch. And so that's one of the ways in which people can get involved is helping support those efforts, because this camp is free to the students. They don't pay for anything. And every student has a set of tools that they're able to use. And if they complete the camp, then that's one of the things that they walk away with. We teach you how to fish, and then we give you the fishing equipment.
Oh, wow, that's real neat right there.
Yeah,
Everybody should have a toolkit at their house with some basic stuff in it.
Absolutely.
Now, when you say it's free to transportation, your parents just have to get their students there?
Yeah, they get them there. But if that was an issue, we would figure that part out.
Now, and what's the age group?
16 to 19, ages 16 to 19. We start off with actually the first year that we did this, we had students calling us from like Alabama and Georgia, Tennessee, and Virginia that wanted to get their kids in the program. Parents wanting to get their kids in the program, and all over North Carolina. And even still, we still fight through that right now because the need is so great. I guess we didn't really know that it was going to get that kind of reception, but we were super blessed in that the interest was there. And then, of course, many of the people who are partnering with us, because the students are learning from actual licensed tradesmen and women. And so you're not learning from Brandon. As I told you, I didn't know how to flip the switch. And so they're learning from actual licensed electricians and licensed plumbers and very experienced carpenters and stuff. So
these guys volunteer their time to come do this? Man, that is 100%. Pretty good. Yep. That's pretty good.
And in fact, we don't even use anyone to help build our homes that don't volunteer for our camp. It's just a way that we're going to support the people that support us. And so those men and women that are out there, volunteering to teach these students, man, it's just a joy to see, students like with the light bulb go off and they're learning something. And we take their phones in the morning. They can't have them back until the afternoon. We've not had that as an issue at all. And that's a shout out to this new generation, by the way, because we always talk about how just overloaded they are with technology. They turn in they surrender their phones as soon as they get there at the registration. When they check in the morning, they don't get it back until the afternoon, and no one is ever complaining.
Well, that's because you got something to hold their attention. And the neat thing about this is the fact that someone might not turn into an electrician or whatever, but you spark the interest in an area that they probably never put their hands on because their hands on this like this all day. So that's a neat thing. We got about a minute or so before we go, but I never want you to leave without people understanding what Habitat's mission is.
Absolutely,
it's not free homes. This is sweat equity, and these who gets the homes and how does it work?
So we people think we build houses and give them away, and that's not true. That's never been the case, by the way, in the history of Habitat. But we partner with families, and they do a series of things. But one of which is they complete up to 300 sweat equity hours, which is them volunteering to build their home, the homes of their neighbors, and out in the community, volunteering their time. And in exchange for that, they receive a 0 to 2 or 3% interest mortgage, but they do have a mortgage. They do pay a mortgage. The volunteer labor that we use to help us build homes and partnering with local vendors to get the lowest price for homes, we're able to pass that cost savings over to the families, and that's how we're able to win in that situation.
All right, look, you missed the showgram Friday. Do you have time to stay, or do you have to?
Sure. I have a few minutes.
Well, we're going to hold you over.
Okay.
and just kind of keep chatting about the process with Habitat, because it is important to our community, and we're going to talk about some of the areas that you have and some of the homes that you've built.
Absolutely.
And what it means to the folks to get that key.
Absolutely.
All right, you're listening to News Talk 640 WFNC. Right now, we've got Fayetteville's most dependable forecast with CBS 17 meteorologist Rachel Dunsing.
Wednesday will be mostly cloudy with a high of 89. Thunderstorms will arrive after 5 p.m. and then end before midnight. The rest of the night will be partly cloudy with a low of 72. Thursday will be partly cloudy with afternoon storms and a high of 91. Friday should be a drier day and temperatures will fall into the 70s by the weekend with a few spot showers on Saturday. That is your Fayetteville forecast. I'm CBS 17 meteorologist Rachel Dunsing.
All right, Rachel, right now 74 degrees in Fayetteville, Hope Mills, and also in Pembroke. You're listening to News Talk 640 WFNC.
Always first in News Talk for North Carolina. News Talk 640 WFNC. Stream on iHeart anytime, anywhere. Just search WFNC.
Basketball fans, this is gonna be huge, baby! The United